He's deep, but again, there's just nothing to hold him down long enough. He can just Dark Pact off everything.
Yeah, it goes back to the draft. Right, like Polaris, they open up with the Undying, they follow up with the Omni Knight support, and the Slark just knows there's nothing to be scared of. It's a very free Slark game for Savage once more. They're clumping around Lelouch once again down bot here, but he does hide in the tree line. See if he takes the bait here, though.
He's going to go for the creep wave. Going to hide in the trees, but he was spotted that time. Lelouch actually going to show up. Q will jump in with the scream, just forces him back with the remnant. While that was happening, Savage has now got the full Skadi up. I believe I saw it. In fact, hold that thought, because Savage, he's getting to work again. Xavius going to force Staff away. They even forced the Tombstone drop from Force. But the net worth lead is now 17k their way on the side of Talon. And Hyde's got the Ags up as well on the Disruptor. Times only get worse.
Oh yeah, that's the big one. He's gonna have the level 2 Static Storm up shortly as well. So they've got a way of just stopping that escape coming out from Lelouch, which has been a bit of a factor in the initial phases of the fight. As long as he has mana, he's always gonna be able to do some good chip damage with the Kotl around. And the 4 staff saves are kind of cutting off Savage's solo pick-off potential here. Still on the hunt though.
Topside AU. Immediate TP away. Meanwhile, bottom lane, a fight to break out as they do have Hyde on the Disruptor and they do pick him off. Force will take that one on the Undying. So another kill onto the Pos 5 Disruptor. Not the biggest deal for Talon. They'll just immediately retreat. Makoto would be a much bigger kill, but nobody in position to catch him out. Like, you're just so reliant on Lelouch being able to jump in with the chains. That's really all you've got. There's nothing else to catch anyone. No sight devices yet either. Like a Hex would really help. But you don't have the net worth. I mean, at least Xavius is trying to get it, but it's a whiles off.
Yeah, it's still going to be a little bit more time until some of that's online. Polaris, they're just trying to retake control where they can. Natsumi just going back into that triangle to farm up. The build-up is coming out. He is going for the butterfly now. That will make the Luna feel like a much bigger core. And that should force Savage to find a way to pierce that evasion, cutting off quite a fair bit of his DPS. And the Lelouch doing a fine job of keeping at least one lane shoved out. So Talon aren't just choking them out completely. KP though. Oh,
jump in towards the north. Lelouch, he's a massive target. Split pushing. Talon will find him. Makoto happily taking the kill with the Sunstrike. Lelouch has been very good at avoiding these gank attempts from Talon while he's been split pushing, but this time around, Savage does finally catch him.
Mindbreaker does a lot there. Just that short duration of silence is enough to find that rebound from KP to get the chain stuns off, and Sunstrike damage to just clean it out. Really excellent neutral coming out here for Talon. Smoke out from Natsumi and AU. They do find the mid tower here, Talon. So off the back of that one kill, they're opening up the map a lot more their way. And they'll be able to find top as well. Just without the Ember, it just doesn't feel like you'll be able to get things done. And they scout out the rush. So probably after shoving in top just a bit, in fact, no, they just rush in. Savage and KP, they're enough.
Nothing to hold them back. You've got the sidekick up, so just go for it. Shards available as well. See who they give that over to. Meanwhile, Makoto, he's got a full sight device down the Invoker. He's coming on the Courier. He'll join the Roshan pit. And, well, Polaris, this is not something they can really afford to give up, but it seems like they've decided to just take the time, take the space, go into that Dire Triangle, let Natsumi farm. It's all we can hope for, because chances are you just can't fight. Like, this Roshan fight, there's no chance it works for Polaris.
No, it really doesn't. They don't have that much team fight on hand. They only really have what? Just Sleight of Fist spam and maybe an Eclipse coming out from Natsumi. They've got good area denial, I suppose, with a Tombstone and, of course, Illuminate.
We'll see Makoto, so he'll BKB TP up. AU will do the exact same. Makoto unable to catch anyone. So nice retreat from Polaris. You mentioned the butterfly being built up on Natsumi, and he's desperately trying to get enough gold to have that up. Just to give himself a chance of being able to go to a right-click war against Savage. But it seems like Talon, they might go high ground before he even has it up. In we go. Alacrity popped. Savage onto Force. We'll back off. It's all about chipping away and just stealing stats over and over again. Once you have 2 charges of Pounce up.
Yeah. You just need a few hits. Level 20 talents up for Savage. +1 per stack. So you're feeling pretty good in these prolonged fights now. For the Slark. I think the safest play right now for Talon looks to be top. Just clear out that tier 2 that you kind of left behind. And just fully shut down the map. They've got good forward wards down bot to watch if Polaris does dip outside to try to farm. And we haven't yet seen that Ag Static Storm here from Hyde as well. So still some reveals to be done. And Hyde's just been dying a bit too quick. Savage all by himself. I mean, again, as you mentioned, Mike, there's nothing the Slark is scared of. Like, Dark Pack just takes away every piece of control and just jumps around like a fish out of water.
Quite literally. Savage. Every game this grand final so far, it's been dominant one way or the other, right? Like Polaris either dominates or Talon either dominates. I haven't seen the closest of games here in this best of 5 grand final yet. I mean, Polaris, they're not out of this game number 4 yet. But it certainly feels that way when you look at this 22k net worth lead. And Dota Plus is currently giving Polaris 2% chance of winning this game, which I'd say is fairly accurate right now. Because even with the butterfly up, it's like, how are you actually meant to contest the Slark? I don't think Savage is going to care. It might make it more inconvenient. It certainly doesn't feel like it's going to do enough. I think if anything, the Scythe of Vice on Xavius is what you really need, and he does now have enough gold for it. Even then, though, it's not going to be that simple. Not against the Slark.
You might be able to catch Savage off guard once or twice here, though. And that's the opening you really need to capitalize on. Savage, full nullifier up, does skip out on the BKB, and I like to see that. Just have a way to take out more of that Guardian Angel, have a way to stop the 4 stabs here. Going to be big for him to finally start finding some kills once more, as the 4 stabs have been doing a lot of work. Side of Ice, as you mentioned, up for Xavius, so they have some play on the high ground if Savage overextends, but he still has the Aegis. I don't see them managing to get 2 surprise uses out from the Side of Vice. Although they do have really great D-push with Illuminate, so this is a tedious process.
Well, there's one Hex, but the Dark Pack was going. So now you know the Scythe device is there on Xavius. Talon, be very careful of that now, Savage. Just making sure he uses that Dark Pack very efficiently. Alacrity onto the Siege Creep. Sidekick out on Savage. He'll pop the Shadow Dance and jump in. Who are we aiming? He'll go after Lelouch on the Ember. Lelouch trying to fight back. There's your Eclipse out. It just does nothing. They have the Depth Shroud. It hides them. The Eclipse does no damage. And now it's down for 2 minutes.
That is not good news for Polaris. That's pretty much all their contribution coming out from Natsumi. So he's just off to farm elsewhere with smoke. High ground still being chipped away here.
And mid tier 3 tower. Under siege, Savage will pounce away, go for the reset. He is a little bit low on mana. You want to be careful of that, but you've still got the Aegis for 45. He could easily just die and get the reset that way. Here we go again.
Oh,
KP, he's there as well. Rebound is out. They've got the coddle. That's just like the Vice gone without buyback. Force, he's going to try and get something done, but it's only going to be the Aegis. And Savage wants to die anyway. He wants that reset, as now the Glimpse is there. Hyde setting up onto Force, onto the Undying. He does have buyback at the very least, but there just seems to be no point in committing it. They'll let the mid-racks go down and hope that Talon backs off. But Savage will not. He'll go for the bot racks now.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Shadow Dance back up, Death Shroud back up. There's not much to be scared of. Even a cooldown of Static Storm, it's a minute, but if they stall these fights long enough, which Talon has managed to do as well, should be back up in the middle of the next engagement anyway. It's just gone for more.
That's the bot lane of barracks now, Talon. So close to forcing this to a Game 5 grand final here between these two. There's your butterfly. Natsumi does have it up. No buyback gold available, but he's just got to force something. He's going to try to fight. But Talon back off again. Very conservative play. 29k net worth lead. They don't want to throw this one, but they are going to go for a 5-man smoke, so maybe a bit of a fake back. You'd love to find Xavius on that coddle, and in fact they do. Pounce is there. He is getting deleted. He is gone for 50. Hex is out as well. Makoto, he's going to jump in with the Deafening Blast Meteor. It's not going to be enough on Force yet. In fact, Makoto, he's getting chased down by zombies. He's going to be okay with the BKB to turn back around onto Lelouch. Spot side, who have they got? Oh, they've got Natsumi. That's the big one. That's the Luna. That'll put an end to this game as Savage is hitting way too hard. Game 5 on the way between Polaris and Talon. John, it's been dominant one way or the other. I just want one close game in this best of 5 grand final.
Yeah, it's been back and forth. I mean, one game Polaris looks like they just have such a great patient game and play perfectly. Another game, Talon bounces back in, reminds us why they were top contenders in the CDPC. And we go all the way. 5 games again for Polaris. The last time they were in a grand finals was in Hatyai. Up against Boom, went 5 games. So we'll have to see who it favors, because it's such a close match. These two teams, it would be massive for both of them to go to TI, Mike. And Polaris, they went down to Div 2. And this is a stack that's been together for like 2 years. And Talon, they came in from Div 2 as well. They're a team that a lot of people had some up and down feelings on. So both of them so hungry to go to TI, and we're going all the way. A perfect game coming out here from Mikado and KP, and even Savage only dying the one time, and Q. They execute very well on Talon. Polaris, we have to see a draft adjustment, because they've been going for the Void and the Void and Puck bans. Maybe it's time to consider the Slark ban, but if you do take out the Slark, the Void, well, it's still going to come out, but it does feel the Void is a little bit more manageable.
We'll see what they do, John. Can you give me an MVP before we go to Game 5 for Talon?
Oh, I want to say Mikado or KP. Like, both of them played a really good game. I think Mikado, with his early activity, his timing to go rotate up top, to find those kills, to just work the map, was really on point. So I'd say Mikado probably set up a lot for them in that game. But I feel like it was a really big team effort out from Talon. I mean, for both sides, it just feels like a massive team effort. Like, we're seeing just both teams push to the limit. They have to play perfect Dota, and Dota is a 5-man game, Mike.
Absolutely is. With that, we are going to head off to a very short break. Of course, right after that break, we'll be back with our final game of this grand final. We'll find out who is going to TI11 from the SEA region through these qualifiers. We'll head off to that short break. We'll be right back.
Esports is what we live and breathe. For us, it's more than a game. It's a reality where a group of letters can mean everything. Where runes are collected and Aegis can only be won in battle. Where centaurs can give you a ride. Where the true heroes are those in front of the screen. GG Bet. This is real.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're getting into our Game 5 draft here. This is the championship round here between these two teams. Talon Esports, Polaris Esports, they are in a best of one now in this grand final for that one slot left for TI11 for this qualifier. It's MLP, Dodo, and John X5. John, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Every game we've watched has been one-sided. Every single one, right? Literally every single one has been one-sided as hell. We want one close game here between these two. It's a best of one. Is this the one where we're going to have a close matchup, John?
I hope so. It's been really back and forth. We've seen some surprise picks coming out. We've seen the flex from the Quap. I'm wondering if... Okay, we're running it back. We do get the Undying for Polaris. And okay, we'll see. Maybe they ban out the Slark. And I think if they do, I mean, you kind of cover your bases. You cover them really well. Unless Talon does just second phase of Slark, which, if Polaris don't preemptively just pick out like a hard piece of control or a hard counter to the Slark early, Talon can then protect fairly well. Because you get 3 bans in phase 2. It just feels really... It feels okay to really just pick a big hero in the first phase. It doesn't matter too much. They get the Quap for the side of... Polaris, so they do get some flex on hand for themselves now, as they can give that to Savius, they can give that to Lelouch, so it's fairly open, and they're preventing Talon from trying to play with that flex. But remember, the Marcy is pretty flex as well. We saw KP have an amazing time with it last game, but we know Q can play it as well, so you have that option here for Talon if need be. And we're gonna have to see, because this is the point in the draft where Talon did pick up the Quap, and they did flex it for Q, and they gave Mikado that amazing Invoker mid, which he really just danced around on. So, a bit of a shake-up here, Mike. But, you know, I feel like the Slark isn't that bad of a first phase pick. Like, it's really not too bad. You just ban out some harder supports and just enable Savage once more. It's been one of the most successful heroes for Talon these qualifiers next to that Faceless Void.
Let's see what they do. Talon. They're going to go Pango for now. That should be the Makoto hero. It is still a flex, though. You could run the Pos 4 Marcy, run the Pos 3 Pangali. They get rid of the Lena, which has been proving to be very, very strong on Lelouch. Fair enough. The bans are, picks are still very similar to what we've been seeing all grand finals. Viper banned out as well. Slark being removed. That's a big change. Your reaction kind of says it all there, John. The Slark has been extremely potent for Savage.
Yeah, but where do we go now is the question. Okay, they ban out the Morphling, so they're banning out more Savage heroes, expecting Mikado to take the mid Pango. I think that's a respectable choice. There is still, again, flex. KP can take the Pangolier. You know, I miss KP Pango. We used to see that a lot in his time in TNC. I believe we saw an Australian burnout, where there used to be a cliff near mid. That was a beautiful burnout. You know, just living up to his Aussie blood. But yeah, you never know. That could still be something Talon pulls out and give Q to Marcy instead, if need be. As again, they tend to use that second pick as a bit of a flex. They're still kind of securing a good lane for Savage. And taking away the Viper is already nice. They're probably just wondering what else Force could pick up. I feel like a Primal Beast for Polaris is something Force has also excelled at, and that might be really annoying to deal with for Savages. That hero just really dominates lane. So I think if they are worried about lane dominating heroes, Primal Beast is an option. We saw them ban out the Chen at this point for AU. They are allowing stuff like the Omni Knight and Oracle True. So they don't seem to be too concerned for all the saves coming out from AU to Matt ban on 5. We've got to see.
Final bans. Do they want to focus on the AU heroes? No, they don't. They want Force. And we've seen this throughout all the games that Talon have won. It's literally just shut down the offlane. If Force is not having a good game, Talon generally just wins. It seems to be all about that. That seems to be the game plan every single time Talon does pull off the victory. And every time Polaris wins, Force is dominating. So he's the key factor here for Polaris that needs to be shut down. Let's see if they can do it another time. For now, the bans are there. His favorite heroes he's been running quite a bit of have been removed. Polaris, one more ban to go, and we'll get to see the draft continue. They're going to take their time with this one.
Yeah, I mean, it is the last game, Mike. You know, that reserve time, wouldn't be too surprised if we go all the way down to 0, almost. Well, hopefully not 0. You don't want any randoms in your last match, of course, but they will take an extra tank. I mean, are they still worried about Savage Heroes? Terrorblade still on hand? They feel like that's an issue? I think Undying kind of handles that. A respect ban for the Disruptor from Hyde. And they go with the Bane this time, so there is still the save factor with a Nightmare there. But you've got really good hold the grip to just cancel off the Pangolier. Really good counter there. This is where Talon might think, alright, do we just flex this now onto the offlane? Because if this is your mid, it's just countered hard. It's just not going to feel great for Mikato to roll in and just instantly be removed from the game. So I think Talon, they've got to find a way to either minimize the impact of the Bane by making this like a support pick to counter another support or to counter the offlane, or just find a way to rip into the backline now. And I think flexing Pango off with something mobile mid is the way to go with the Visage here.
Oh, hello.
Okay, Talon. They've got Visage Marcy. Are they going to go Luna?
I mean, they don't need to, but there's the Visage, there's the Marcy, the sidekick, the familiars. We saw this the other day. It's extremely potent to have to play against. You've asked the real question, though. Are they going to go Luna? It's there. Luna Blessing makes it so much better. Savage, what are you thinking, sir? Do you want the Pos 1 Luna?
To be fair, I don't think you should pick up that Luna here. Maybe just run something a little bit safer. It's still pretty open for Talon as well. Where do you want to put the Visage? They go with a Dazzle. So, you know what? It is shaping up to be a really aggressive draft out from Talon. I do worry, though, because the back line for Polaris feels very well protected just with Bane. You don't have that great mobility out from the side of Talon outside of the Pango and possibly the rebound from Marcy. The one thing I do note here, Familiar Stun can break away the Bane, at the least stop that channel, and they go instantly for the Natsumi Pudge to close things out. So they bring out that Pudge, and it's what a way to close out. You can see Natsumi's just, I'm feeling it. Yeah, pick the Pudge. Let's go.
I mean, his Pudge has been extremely dominant. Like, you see, once the Axe is up, it feels impossible to kill this guy. And the damage, just walking up to you, spell stealing with the spell life steal, just the damage output. You can't run away because the AoE is so big on the rod all of a sudden. If you do run away, he just hooks you back in. Such a dominant carry to have, and we know Natsumi really enjoys it. There's the Luna ban, by the way. John, you brought it up. Luna probably could come out here, but it is banned out. Polaris, they do not want to give that huge kind of bonus over with the Luna Blessing. SF ban, surprisingly enough, coming out here from Talon, which is a hero we have not seen throughout these SEA qualifiers, at least from the games you and I have casted. But it does get banned out in this final game of this best-of-5 grand final here. So, Talon, even getting rid of the Batrider, hoping nothing surprising comes out from Polaris. One more ban to go here from Polaris' end. They're still looking for a position 1 ban for Savage.
I mean, you can just respect ban the Terrorblade. It does feel like a fairly decent TB game. You do have some good damage coming out from the Quap, some decent ways of mitigating its output and cutting it off with a Pudge, but with the protection of the Dazzle, it does still feel like you can get a lot of value out from Terrorblade, so wouldn't be too surprising to see that kind of ban. What else is there in the pool here for Talon? I mean, if they want to play really fast, you can pick up something like the Juggernaut, play with the Healing Ward, play with the Sustain that the Dazzle provides, and just kind of get your entire team grouped up, force out these fights, go for the spin build on the Jug up against the Pudge. That's decent enough, although the magic resist is pretty annoying, but you can kind of still run that if you want on Talon's end. So some options left there. For Polaris, it does look like we're looking for the Force here on the last pick here, unless they kind of flex the Quap off lane and pick something else mid for Lelouch. And if they do that, I see a couple of heroes mid. It does look like Talon is expecting that. On the mid, something like a Lelouch Leshrac is still available. That is something that he absolutely loves. I think it's probably his most played hero. Konka is still in the pool as well to help you sustain your Pudge, give you a good hold for the Pangolier with the X, clear out the Familiars well enough. And they do respect ban at TB, which again just fits nicely with Talon's draft right now.
One more. Savage, what do you want? It's right into the Doom. He's taking a leaf out of the Natsumi book. He wants the +1 Doom this time around. I like it, right? Like, Pudge, he wants to be up in your face. He wants to be rotting. Doom, he doesn't mind being up in your face either. Especially if you're going Axe build-up. You'd rather just be in the face of the Pudge. And against the Quap, if it is going to be a mid-Quap, you're more than happy to fight that as the +1 Doom. And we even saw it from the game that Natsumi did play position 1 Doom against the Undying. A position 3 Undying does not enjoy getting doomed prior to the Tombstone being dropped. It makes the hero just completely useless. And so I love the pick from Talon. I wonder, how do the side of Polaris want to try and trade back with their own draft? They're going to go into the Keeper once again. All right, here we go.
All right. I mean, the Keeper is a good way of shoving back this push coming out from Talon, but I like the shakeup from Talon. Taking this +1 Doom for Savage. We saw them play this a lot in the end of the DPC Tour 3, and they had a lot of success with it. It feels a lot better now with the changes to the Ags, with how you play him. So it's a great pickup for Talon, and for Polaris, I mean, they've got some good play. There's just this issue of, like, it feels like they lack wide AoE control, which Talon has a lot more, at least with Rebound, with familiar stuns, with a roll. You have good ways of just jumping all around the place. And for Polaris, they've got to get a really strong start here for Natsumi. They really do. And Force, he's going to have to try to burn down Savage. They need to block the camps. If Savage finds the mana creep, the mana burn creep, Force is not going to have a game at all.
Absolutely not. And he almost guaranteed he is going to find the mana burn creep, because they always seem to find it on the Doom. Eventually, you search hard enough, you'll get that damn creep, and then you just dominate the lane. Let's see how this goes, John. Best of 1 series now between Polaris Esports and Talon. I'll ask you one last time. You see both these two drafts. It seems like you're leaning towards Talon this time. Is that the case? Do you think they came out indefinitely?
I think their draft is a lot better. I do feel like Polaris still has this really good tempo to come out. Like, once the Axe is up on Natsumi, you can actually just keep spamming Hook out as well with a Chakra. Like, there is some good combinations here. And again, you've got the Chakra Decay coming out onto Force. So there's a lot of early presence. If Talon don't manage to hold out in the lanes, this draft just falls apart. And they need to kind of win out lanes. They need to secure the start for Savage. If they can do that, the game feels a lot better for Talon. But that's a big if. And that's asking a lot from these supports to kind of just stop Keeper for Light and Undying from just running down with Chakra. It's just devastating with that combination.
Rightio. Well, for the last time for these TI11 qualifiers, John, I am about to ask you for 4 predictions before this game number 5 does get underway. Give us those battle pass points, Jonathan. I need those points.
Yeah, I've been missing a lot of them tonight, let me tell you. Player with the highest net worth at game end, Savage, because he's playing Doom. Total number of towers killed before 25. You know what? 0 to 5. No, you know what? 6 to 10, maybe. This time it's going to be 6 to 10. Okay. Team with the first tower kill, probably Talon with their lineup. They're probably going to look to be aggressive. And team with the first Roshan kill. Yeah, neither side really has the best Rosh. I'd say Talon, though, out of that. There you go.
Okay. Thank you for that, John. Game 5. Nothing to hold back now for either side. Let's hope it's an absolute slugfest between these two. Everything on the line here. You don't want to have to be forced to go to last chance qualifiers. Right? If you can get your spot to TI11 right now, you'd rather get it right now. You're 1 game away from both teams. Sure, you have the safety net of last chance qualifiers, but nobody wants to go there, John. Nobody wants to go there. There's too many good teams there.
Yeah, you see that team list. It's way too stacked. We were having a conversation earlier. It feels like you could just run that as a mini major almost, right? Like, you could actually run that as a set of teams with a prize pool already, and it's already a legit tournament because those teams
not?
are all great. So, yeah, you'd rather not go through that process for both sides, and well, that means everything comes out here, Mike. You mentioned wanting some cheese picks. I'd say this is the cheesiest draft we've had all night here.
It certainly is. The Visage and the Marcy. We love seeing this with this kind of draft. Always fun. Force, get a double decay off, but that'll be it. He won't try to fight over the bounty. It's going to be a 2-for-2 trade, so a very even start this time around for game number 5. And of course, as usual, we are going to start off with the mid lane. You are going to have Lelouch on that mid Queen of Pain against the mid Pango of Makoto. Makoto performing very well on the mid Pango. Of course, Lelouch, we know how powerful he can be on this Queen of Pain mid as well. Bit of a newer hero for him here in game number 5. How does this hero matchup go?
It feels pretty good for Lelouch. He has a really nice range advantage. First few levels for the Pango just doesn't feel great, so you're just going to have to sit back and soak. Mikado is doing a good job of ensuring the wave does shove in, and he drags it all the way to the tower for some safe CS. He can poke and prod a little bit with a swash, but it does feel like overall Lelouch should have a good time. And rune control is going to be massive for both sides. If once Lelouch has a value point in Blink, if he even wants one, he's going to have a much better time in getting that done. And you have really good support rotation set up here from Polaris as well. So I think Mikado might have a little bit of a tougher time until that level 6 is up. And he's just going to have to find some openings where he can, pull back the wave as much as he can, and get that CS going.
Let's have a look at the bot lane as well, because this is the one where I think we're probably going to see first blood being drawn. You've got KP and Q on the Marcy Visage. In fact, hold that thought, because there was a hook out from Natsumi, but no level 2 yet, so no follow-up. But between Q and KP, against AU and Natsumi, like that Visage Marcy lane can be quite dominant. It's very reminiscent of like a Viper Marcy, except instead of going slowly with DPS with poison attack, you have Soul Assumption, which does 300 burst damage at level 1, quite a ridiculous amount of damage. So if Q can hit that level 2 mark and just catch them off guard, you can really start to blow people up. But it also goes the other way. As you can see, Natsumi, he's going to move in with the hook. The Nightmare's set up, but he won't go too far. The Soul Assumption just, again, way too much burst from KP.
It's a lot of back and forth, and this is probably the lane with the most play. Lots of ways to trade. Q already having to pop the salve. Natsumi is not quite finding as much CS as he wants, although he is still up there 8-1, but KP's not too far behind. I think outside of just Soul Assumption, you also have this play you can get with the Grave Chill plus Sidekick. Like the added attack speed on the Visage, even without the Familiars, it's good trading for KP once he has a value point up there. So that's a little bit of the back and forth that Polaris will have to watch out for. And Natsumi, of course, he would want some laning kills, Mike. Flush heap stacks, very important for the Pudge while he's farming up for that Ags.
Absolutely. How about that top lane? Savage, Hyde, going to be against Force and Xaviers. Seems like a decent lane for the Undying. Even against the Dazzle with that poison attack, or rather the poison touch. You've got so many decays to be taken by Force, and if you do eventually try to make the jump in on the Undying, he's just going to drop Tombstone every time. It doesn't help that you've got Chakra Magic to keep resetting the decay either. He's already got 16 strength, and it's only going to go up as time goes on.
Yeah, again, we saw Savage have to deal with this in the last game, but he's not as protected on the Doom. You know, he can't just pounce away if an Illuminate's on its way over. And they're going to have to try to keep finding a good creep for him to eat up. No mana burn creep in the small camp, unfortunately. It is the bunch of Vul assassins. So Savage still going to be under pressure, and Force just feeling happy. The Doom will still farm, and Devour is still a spell that gives you free gold, so you're not going to be cut off from that progression, but the side of Polaris are making it tough.
It feels like this combo of Undying Coddle is probably going to be something that you do. In fact, hold that thought, because bot lane, there's going to be another hook set up here, set up by AU. KP, he's taking a lot of damage from that Rot. Natsumi might have First Blood and does. First Blood the way of the Pudge. You couldn't have asked for a better start for Polaris.
And that's what you want to see. You want to build up the flesh heap stacks here for Natsumi. And once he gets more and more, it's an easy game to get hooks. You've got the Nightmare set up. Easy pull back, easy damage out, and you can just run down. Talon have to be a bit careful bleeding out in the bot lane. They've got aggression of their own. But it does feel like KP needs more levels up. So only level 1 Soul Assumption, only level 1 Grave Chill. Neither option for the right click or the spell trading is feeling that great for the Visage yet.
Yeah. Going back to my point, John, about the Koto Undying, I feel like this is one of those duos that, unless you see major nerfs to Undying before in the patch before TI11, like this Chakra Magic Decay spam in the laning phase, it feels so busted. It feels incredibly busted.
It is. It's a lot of damage out. It's really easy to just catch that pause one at a bad spot and melt him down. And Savage, he's wanting to look to punish, but he doesn't have anything like the Infernal Blade. Can't really go for it. You are getting so much farm out for Force. Now, mind you, again, Savage not lagging too far behind in the CS. And overall, in terms of at least creeps coming out, it is looking pretty good for Talon, although not too far behind for Polaris either. Savage, I mean, he's 116 HP.
Got
He
Tombstone.
can't really hold here.
Yeah, Hyde, gonna heal him up. Very forward play from Savage. He did have 20 stick charges, so that's why he felt so confident to move up like that. Maybe trying to bait the Tombstone to be used, but Force does not fall for it. Meanwhile, bottom lane, here we go again. The Nightmare into the Rot. Q does have rebound, and the hook never connects. Trying to connect the hook mid-rebound is the way to stop the Marcy from bouncing out like that. But it's obviously much easier said than done.
It's pretty tough to do that. And hard to kind of predict where the Mars will want to go. Natsumi though, as long as he's not being harassed out of lane, he's getting the farm. Vanguard not too far away. AU, nice steal onto the bounty while Q's trying to sneak up. They are still making moves down here though. Mikado does have a regen, but don't manage to cut off the Bane. And they don't fully commit to jump mid. Lelouch is still really mobile on the co-op, even with just the level 1 blink. And that is the one shortcoming for Talon. Their lockdown isn't amazing. So Lelouch has a lot of play in this game. That does mean that you're likely not going to see any commitment towards that this time around.
Certainly not. Makoto, though, still very, very happy with the way this mid lane's gone, that's for sure. His bot lane, here we go again. Natsumi, this time he'll be the target. KB won't be able to get the damage off. Natsumi's still a very tanky kind of pos 1 here on the Pudge. Not going to be that easy to threaten in terms of his life. Survive and keep working on towards the Vanguard. As top lane, Savage was being chased down on the Doom, but just pops the Scorched Earth and then runs. The Force not able to keep up here, not willing to drop the Tombstone either. Savage will just salve up and right back to the top lane he goes. Very close affair between these two teams once again, as now the Flesh Golem and Tombstone, they want to try. Savage, no, the Illuminate!
Ooh.
Oh, it doesn't connect! He was a hair off! Oh, how close can you get? Hyde. He's going to try to run. Hyde looks like to be fine as bot lane Q. Oh, he's going to rebound back the way of AU. They find the Bane. Makoto's rotated. Disaster for Polaris Esports. Absolute disaster.
And they miss out on some key kills. Savage now can kind of just go jungling. I mean, you're at that point with the Doom. You got the level 3 Devour up. You can just kind of play it safe. No need to really show up too much. Savage is going to hit 6 if he wants. With that Doom, they could try to make some plays. But again, gap closing here a little bit tough. And they do shove him completely away from top. I mean, this combination of Force and Zavis is just unsustainable for the Doom to play against. So you are already putting a dent on Savage, but he's just going to take mid for himself. Mikado doesn't really mind. He's the one to go jungle. He's the one who wants to be active anyway with a role. So you kind of get a swap out there. Lots of heroes checking up top, though.
They do slow him up. They've got the Soulbind. AU's even going to show up. Illuminate again going to be juked out by Savage. Nightmare will be there though, letting Force get closer. Now the Tombstone, but the Doom, it's going to be committed. In comes Q. He'll try to help out. In fact, the Undying, he's the one dropping too low. He will go down. AU, he gets a deny off. Savage, he does go down in the end. AU saving the day, salvaging the situation. They'll lose Hyde. They'll lose Q and Polaris. They get a 3-for-1. In fact, I say they got 1, but they really got nothing. It was a deny anyway.
Yeah, they find everything in Polaris. I'm surprised Talon, they didn't drag in Mikado for that fight. Just opts to keep farming. Maybe didn't expect all that movement out. Polaris getting a lot of value from their forward wards here. And that vision, the information they got that the Doom was just jungling, they just instantly pile on. And it just feels like for Talon's end, if you do slow down on Savage too much, it feels like a really tough game. And they're trying to clump up bot, but Natsumi has the ward protection here as well. They can't even find punishment onto him, and they've got this great board behind the tier 1. Polaris, they know Savage is just standing around here.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Savage, gotta be very cautious. Polaris is the target they want. Savage, AU, he's having a look around. The pings are out, they know. Savage, he'll get spotted. AU, where's the nightmare? He'll pop it eventually, but Makoto, quick rotations on the Pango, not going to allow this opening. AU, he'll try to run. Lelouch now, he's the one caught in the mid-quap. Oh, they find both of them.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's an awkward one. They feel confident with a vision in the backline, but a good TP spot coming out there from Mikado. In the response, Talon does find it. This aggressive ward still looking good. Both sides do manage to find tier 1s up top and a down bot here for both sides. Talon needs to take out this vision game. Like, this control coming out, man, they can just stalk Savage. Right now, Xavier's just walking to his direction again.
Savage. Force. Tombstone's there. Savage this time does not help the help around him. And he can't find a way out either. TPs eventually do come out, but Q, the best he can do here, I think, is try to work with Makoto as they try and trade against Force, but he is such a tanky Undying. Can they really do it? Look at the refresh. Look at the decay being spammed out. Q's dropping to the Tombstone. He might be another kill to go the way of Polaris as the zombies are just chasing him down. He'll survive for now, but can they kill Force off? The Undying, he's too much. He's too tanky. They've got to retreat. Hyde's now the one in danger. He'll shallow grave TP away and might just make it. And does. Barely, I might add. Just barely. But
It's
this
those
chakra
wards.
magic Undying and the wards, like you mentioned, it's painful.
Yeah, they just know. Every time Savage dips into that jungle, he's just not safe. And Talon, they need to take away that vision. Polaris, they're playing so well. They find that solo kill on KP down bot. Natsumi finds the angle. His Ag's timing's going to be really on point in this game. Savage, he just gets the Midas gold now. So at the least you've got that farm acceleration, but it's been such a slow Doom game. He is barely above KP net worth, who is bottom net worth 4. 2k lead up for Polaris. They do eventually get the sentry down. They do free up the jungle, but it took 2 deaths out from Savage for that move to come out. Like, they've gotten their value here on Polaris.
It's a rough start for Talon. 2k behind now. Savage, very low in net worth on this Doom. Scan out as well. Polaris, they see the scan. Or rather, they see the smoke with the scan. Double damage was still picked up by Makoto, but the smoke may just amount to nothing. No one around from Polaris Esports to catch up. If you really want, you've got to head over to that Radiant Triangle, but without the mid-tier 1 tower dropping yet for Polaris, you can't really make your way over. There's no good pathing to that area. And so Talon, it's the retreat once again. At least you got a double damage room for Makoto. He can save that for the next team fight.
They've got to find that next team fight in their favor in Talon's end. I mean, you've got the Doom, you're 2k behind. That's not good news. The Doom is here that should just naturally farm better than everyone else, but Force is currently #1 in net worth from all the activity he's been getting up. You talked about how much Talon's been stopping Force. It's not coming out this game. Like, he is just abusing this chakra decay. It's just ridiculous what you can get done with that and how tanky you are. It's too much. And it's just building up. Again, the Ags for Natsumi slowly but surely coming out here. You're getting into the BKB for Lelouch. And once you have that protection, it just doesn't feel like you have any answers on Talon at all outside of the Doom. Which Savage, he's still just going to farm. He's not going to look for those Doom opportunities until the BKB blink is up. And that's going to take some time in this game.
Natsumi, bottom lane. Hook. Oh, that's right on target. Hyde. What a hook from Natsumi. He's completely blind as well. He had no vision. Still, Hyde does get away. Impressive hook, but no kill to come with it.
Just a little poke away. That does at least tell Talon where Polaris is kind of clumping up down bot, giving them some space to recover here on Savage, and even just allowing KP as well to work onto that rate pack timing on the Visage. It's still lining up. KP just scouting around with the familiars as well, getting some vision out to and figure out where Polaris are playing right now. It's more passive game. Does feel like it's pretty suitable for Polaris. I mean, you know, you're getting the build-up you want in Natsumi. They might still be able to find Mikado if he's not careful. AU?
Nightmare. It does connect. Hides around. Hook this time off the mark. Natsumi not quite on target. Hyde actually not even flinching, just keeps walking forward, places a ward, and acts like it never happened. Talon, they will get away with Makoto intact. He is the Giga Hyde, Johnny. He doesn't flinch when Hook flies out. He's fine.
Of course.
AU.
Oh.
Chase down, Rolling Thunder. Diffusal Blade is there from Makoto, but a nice Nightmare. AU gonna hold Makoto. In comes Lelouch. What a Nightmare dodge, but still, the Sonic Wave's not gonna be there in time. AU barely survives. Just barely.
Yeah, they back off. They try to make a move onto Force up top with the TPs, but just a little bit too far forward. Savage doesn't have anything like the blink, so Force is just free to walk away. These back and forth fights with no kills, it is starting to feel a little bit better for Talon, because yeah, they expend the roll, but you also force out the Fiend's Grip, you force the rotation out from Lelouch, you're still finding farm on Savage and KP. So these two cores are just gonna hit some key items that they desperately need. And they'll just be, kind of swimming in it once the BKBs come in and once that raid pack is up. So Talon starting to find a stall out. Polaris, I think once we see them hit this Ags on Natsumi, they need to start playing. They've got the early BKB on Force as well. This Undying, it's definitely going to live up to its name in the middle of these team fights with that BKB. Like, there's just no solution yet from Talon.
BKB and Chakra Magic, so more strength to be stolen. I mean, at this point, he may as well just go Ags, right? Like, you may as well build Ags, get the 8 strength still on the Decay, because you could just have double Decays constantly with Chakra Magic. It'd be so much value here for the Undying this game, but obviously being responsible first has to go BKB. I'm just saying, after that, you think about the Ags. I'm sure Force is.
Yeah, it's a good game for it. He's softening up Doom, softening up Pangolier before the roll, kind of taking away the threat of Marcy pre-BKB. Does a lot. So, certainly not something that's completely memey for Force after the fact. We'll see if that's something he'll want. And the lead for Polaris, it is starting to slip away a bit. And we are finally seeing Savage pull up, BKB up now on the Doom. So that's one item that will allow them a little bit more play. But you really want the Blink on top of that. Blink and Refresh with a Shivas, which again will take time.
They'll find Hyde. Makoto is there to help though, and Hyde again. The Giga Chat of Talon. You'll just run casually right through. Nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. Hyde, you just keep casually pacing. This is pos 5 Dazzle. Always has the backup of his team. Polaris, they're the ones that are still just trying to buy time for the Ags. Natsumi's got it. You mentioned it's time to fight once the Ags is up. We'll see when Natsumi wants to get started. For now, he's just trying to escalate and farm.
Yeah, he is building up. He did skip like a durability item. Does look like they are going to start Roshan though, off the back of Force. And they're going to make some good progress here with the Tombstone drop as well. Not the quickest Rosh in the world. No, neither one of these teams really fast Rosh takers, but Talon don't seem aware. And Rosh, given enough time, you will still find it.
Thank you to Force, by the way, for building that Ags that I talked about, John. Not making it look like a complete moron during this Game 5 of the Grand Finals. Force looking out for the boys. Love you, Force. Here goes Polaris. Aegis will go the way of the punch. That's a big target. Talon. It seems like they're just more than happy. Just Savage is farming. He's climbing up that net worth lead. He's got Midas. He's got BKB. We've seen how powerful Pos 1 Doom can be from Natsumi himself in this best of 5 Grand Final. So just give Savage the space and time. And of course, we talk about it in the draft, but let the Visage have its time as well. Because eventually, you're going to win one team fight, you're going to sidekick one of these familiars, and things are going to look rather silly. Buildings are going to start falling apart. It's not going to be fun for Polaris if they end up losing said team fight.
No, it certainly isn't. Still, Polaris, they've got a nice smoke here. They still have this ward giving them vision on the bot jungle. They know where Talon's farming.
Oh, nice Hawk, Natsumi. On target. Had the vision this time. Fiend's Grip there just in case. They are not willing to let this kill go. Natsumi, he'll try for the familiars as well. Hard for them to get away with this rot slow. It'll be a plus 200 for Polaris. Now 1k advantage going back the way of the Radiant.
And the vision game has been such a big difference maker for Polaris. Like the forward ward in the triangle a while ago, this defensive ward just cutting off where Talon wants to farm. They understand what Talon needs to do. They understand where Talon wants to play. And they keep vision in those areas. And Talon, their own wards aren't really doing much. They've got this ramp ward on the rune spot. They've got this ward on their own top jungle, which is fairly inside their jungle, not really seeing down the ramp, not seeing around the area all too well. And it just allows Polaris to really dictate these engagements every time. Still, the blink's up on Savage. So you do have Blink Doom with War Stomp as well with the BKB. And that BKB will force a choice out from AU. Although you could still kind of use Natsumi to kind of chomp through the BKB with a Dismember anyway, so it's not something you mind all too much. Talon, the question for them is, how long will you want to wait? And who and what are you willing to sacrifice? Because it certainly feels like you can't afford to lose KP as well. Vintage does need some farm to really get ridiculous here. And the map is still really safe for Polaris. They're going for another smoke.
Savage in the mid lane, prepped for a defense, but he could be out of position very soon if he's not careful. Talon, they are behind him. KP will show those familiars. Natsumi, he's been very good with these hooks. You've got to be so cautious with this man. He's played a lot of Pos 1 Pudge. He knows what he's doing. It's tier 1 mid. Not going to be defended. Talon, they don't want to risk it right now. Especially against the Aegis of Natsumi. With the Ags, it's just too painful if he gets close enough. Even with some BKBs up, it's just, they don't last long enough. It just feels like Polaris can just sustain forever until those BKBs are up, and then you just run at them.
I mean, they really do have the answers to almost everything. I think the big one for Talon now is going to be this Linken's timing on Mikado. Once he's protected on the roll, and that does open up the team fights more, and it just completely nullifies the grip that AU will want to bring out here. And you just have a way of ripping through the backline, which Mikado needs to achieve for his team. But that Linken's is also going to take some farm. So it really is just a patience game out from Talon. For Polaris, their scaling is good. You do have to worry because, well, frankly, Natsumi doesn't have the most flesh heap, so his tankiness isn't that amazing. And the BKB is going to help a lot in that sense, but the physical output of KP, or heck, the physical output of Q once he has his own BKB, is something to be concerned about. Talon will actually go for a smoke now in their end.
Yeah, they know where Natsumi is. The problem is you want to avoid Natsumi and find the backside. You want to find the other heroes on his team. Because the Pudge is that one position 1 right now that can literally go out of position anywhere he wants, and you still don't want to jump him. It's way too dangerous. Smoke is there, but it seems like Talon, they're heading towards the other side of the map. So maybe not wanting to force a fight, they just want to keep their farm going. They trust in their strategy, they trust in their draft. We've seen this throughout this whole best of 5, which every game has been one-sided, and one team fight can do that. So you don't want to be that team to give that team fight away to the other. Problem is, Polaris, they are still finding more objectives. Lelouch, top tier 2 tower is going to drop, just casually taking it as the mid-quap. Will eventually back off just in case, but does force a rotation out from Q on that Marcy. And we're at that stage once again where Aegis is going to expire, and it's going to be all about trying to secure that next Roshan. Smoke though, Talon. Can they find something to do here? Can they find a fight? It doesn't seem like it. Probably for the best anyway, because now there's a BKB up on Natsumi.
Yeah, you're going to need to choose your Doom targets here for Savage with all the protection coming out. The triple BKBs ready on Polaris, and they'll smoke off the back of that. Talon?
High ground, but hide. He's been spotted. Stones are there on the Familiars, and the Dazzle, or rather Doom is there. Lelouch, he cops it. BKBs were there in time. Savage in the middle of nowhere. Where's the Doom? Who's he got? Oh, he doomed a zombie!
What?
Oh, he's doomed a zombie! I thought he doomed the Quap. Then I see the BKB and I'm like, wait a minute. Oh no,
goodness.
Not like this.
That is... Yeah, that's not good. Talon, that's a pretty big loss. Polaris, they're gonna find a tier 2 off the back of that. They're gonna be able to get everything they need. Yeah, that's you just try to rinse that off. Yeah, it's really tough for Talon. Polaris, though, not gonna be feeling bad about that. Gonna be very chuffed with themselves. They find a double damage rune here as well. So, the objective should just, well, top tier 2 faults, outpost next. They've got the forward wards here on Polaris' end. And Talon, and they've got to hope for the best next time around. They've got a minute 20 to wait for that next Doom. And the 2K lead comes back here for Polaris. Savage, and the full Shivas is coming out here. But, yeah, what can you do?
What can you do? That's the saying, Jonathan. That's the saying I always like to come up with. What can you do? Force, he can buy an Aghanim Scepter to make things even more dominant. That's what he can do. Ag's up now. 8 strength still on the decay. This is where things get even more scary. Because you got to worry about the Pudge. You got to worry about the Undying. Xavius is going to be spamming Chakra Magic. So it's double decay over and over again. Savage, he gets spotted out. But he'll run right towards the Dire Triangle once again. Lelouch, he's just going to show himself in the mid lane, pops a DD, tries to chip away at the tier 2 mid tower, but there's no creep wave, so the backdoor protection is there. And Polaris, they are one step closer to pulling off this Game 5 victory. They are certainly in the lead in this game, not just by net worth, but just with the way these drafts work. It feels like Polaris, or rather Talon, needs so much more. Here we go,
They need
Savage.
a lot.
Sorry, John, go on. He does blink up.
They need a lot more. I mean, the Lincoln's timing for Mikado, that still feels like the key to allow them to take some fights. Just blocking off that Fiend's Grip means that your Pango will at least have a lot of play. Blink up now on Natsumi, though, so you can just instantly blink up and dismember with the BKB. Once you pop the Lincolns on the Pango, you actually do have additional control now on the Pudge. So you actually don't care anymore about this Lincoln's build-up on Mikado, as long as your Blink's on point and your BKB used is on point. So we'll see. Fast Roche respawn here as well for the side of Polaris to find, and they've got the control here. They can just dip right into it.
Gaben's been too kind to Polaris this series, haven't they, John? Here we go.
Absolutely.
Second Roshan. Talon, you'd love to fight. They do find Xavius. That's something. They've got the Coddle down. That's going to put an end to the Roshan. They don't want to fight without that Keeper of the Light. So now mid tier 1 tower opens up and Talon, they do move in with the Familiars and the Sidekick. Certainly help the cause. It seems like Talon, I mean, they've got to be careful with the way they go because they're moving right into the high ground where Polaris is standing, but it's a 4v5. Maybe this is the fight. Savage, dismember out immediately. Force, where's the tombstone? He hasn't dropped it yet. The tomb is going to be on target this time around. They've got the Pudge. This might be the team fight. Talon, they're trying. They find AU on the backside. Sonic Wave, Lelouch, he'll try to salvage the situation. Meanwhile, Hyde, he does go down, but they found Natsumi. That's the target they wanted. Talon, they've got the team fight. Oh, Polaris. They forced an ugly fight for themselves. They thought maybe with the high ground advantage, they had enough, but it wasn't quite there. And now Roshan, it goes back the way of the Dire.
I mean, this Roche doesn't take that long. With the Morrissey and the Sidekick and the Familiars, this is where you're going to see that Shrine Roche melting to that output. And Polaris now, they're finding themselves on the back foot. 9-7, still having a kill board on their side, but the lead slowly dipping back towards Talon's way. Aegis going the way of Mikado, and a free shard coming out for Savage, so even more coming out from that Infernal Blade. Mikado, he's got that Lincoln's up, he's going for the Basher next, he's going to have some way of stopping these channels through with a BKB. And for Polaris, this is where you might start to ask yourself, did they miss out on their timing? I mean, they still have scaling left for the Pudge. There's still a lot of presence left for this lineup. But you do have to respect that Talon still has... they've got scaling as well. I mean, Mikado is on the Pango. They've got disruptive teamfight elements. Whereas for Polaris, their teamfight, their most disruptive element in the teamfight, outside of the single target spells, is the Tombstone. And it did disrupt that last fight really nicely. Now, they had to kind of focus on it with Hyde. He did pay for that with his life. But they still managed to make it work. And, you know, this time around, it makes a big difference, Mike, when you do manage to land that Doom.
It certainly does. It's very important not to doom the zombies and try to doom a hero. That's always a very, very important factor.
Oh, you know what? If you had... this might be funny. If you had the Ags on Doom, the AoE Doom following you around instead of on yourself, I don't know if there's really utility in that, but there's something there.
You can't miss if you just cast it on yourself, right? Right? That's 4-head or 5-head thinking, Jonathan. Well done. Savage has queued up the axe. He's got the same idea. Can't miss if I just cast it on myself. That's the way to do it.
Talon, they managed to find some good objectives now. Bot tier 2 fault, so they equalize map control. Pretty much mirror map control from both sides. Mid tier 2 stands. Bot and top tier 1 still stands for the opposing lanes as well. Aegis, as you've got 3 minutes left on Mikado, he's starting to get really aggressive with his blinks forward. There is some nice split push coming out, which you can achieve with a Keeper for Light, of course. Save is just shoving in top, doing some good chip damage out, but Talon going for a smoke.
What can they find? Nobody in that Radiant Triangle, nobody in the Dire Jungle. It's literally only Xavier's pushing out the top lane, not allowing a creep wave to get anywhere near the Radiant base. Sees a TP from Savage. That does get cancelled as well. Talon now. 5k ahead, looking very, very strong with Savage. 21k net worth. Polaris, they're the ones that need to find a way back into this game. In they go. Talon, they understand their lead. They do not want to back off. Makoto, he's got the Aegis. Now a refresher orb up on Savage. 2 dooms up. You definitely want the team fight now. Polaris, they're the ones that have got to find a way to force a fight and win that fight. Or just keep avoiding. But the more you avoid, the bigger Savage gets. We've seen this from Natsumi. He's a hook. Oh. Natsumi. Lincoln's broken. They find the Pango. Makoto, he is gone the first time, but the Doom, it was there by Savage. He'll rush in. He'll refresh. Who's the next target? Savage. He gets Fiend's Grip. AU's got him. The Doom. The Shallow Grave. It buys time. AU ends up going down. Savage will survive with the Sonic Wave. They chase. Lelouch still trying. Lincoln's broken. No mana. It won't matter, though. They lock him down. They have got the Quap. Force. Trying to run. They are in big trouble now. Polaris, hook up onto the Undying, will save the day as Natsumi goes back in, but Talon have got this team fight. There is no saving this one.
They managed to make it work. It was a very awkward fight out from Talon. I mean, not expecting the Lincoln break on Mikado, gets held down. Savage, with a refresh, with all the items he has to use, he just doesn't have the mana pool. So he's actually investing into stats now. Level 2 up, 2 points in the stats. Barely enough to get his 2 uses of Doom. I think the big issue is he's not able to really use the Shivas on top of that yet, so needs the eggs just for the stats. I think the value is going to be there. 9-9, 10k lead for Talon. I mean, it looks like a big lead, but you look at that farm distribution, it's only really Savage ahead. Natsumi, Lelouch, and Force are close behind. So I'd say this game is a lot more even. You can't count Polaris out. They can still play around and take away that durability on Mikado if he's not careful. Now, Mikado does have the Basher, and he is going for a BKB. Once that's up, pinning down the Pango is going to be a lot tougher. But that is more time to wait for. And Polaris, well, they've got their own build-up to kind of seek out here as well. In fact, they're going for a smoke.
They're gonna try. I suppose the fights need to be on their terms. They saw 1 Doom used. That's 1 less Doom you have to worry about. That's 1 positive. No refresher orb available on Savage. Lelouch, he'll show himself. Maybe just trying to bait for his team. Talon, not taking that bait. Very patiently waiting the tree line, hoping Polaris move more forward. Makoto now baiting. Polaris not taking that bait either. They know exactly what each other are doing. Someone's gonna move in first. Who's got less patience? Neither side. It's like a stalemate between these two. It's like, nope, not me. I ain't going first. You're coming.
Yeah. Play it safe. And there's so much on the line in this game 5, right? We talked about the stakes here, Mike. And no one is going to take any unnecessary risks. So you play it safe, you go back, you farm up, you build up, and you just keep trucking along. Now, there is one thing I'd like to see in this game, Mikey. Maybe down the line, our Giga Chad Hyde could go for the Ags and refresh the refresh. I believe it does refresh, right? It does not have the clause where refresh is excluded. So refresh to refresh, I mean, it's not enough mana on Savage, to be fair, but you know, the possibilities are hilarious.
They certainly are. Double damage rune found out once again, Talon. They seem to be finding a lot of these this game. See who takes that one. Seems to be Makoto usually taking the double damages here for the team. Considering you don't really need it on the Doom. Nope, they're going to give it over to Q on the Marcy. So the Marcy with BKB Basher, I suppose he can just jump in and pop that unleash and go to work. So the double damage now on Q. He's a core now for the team. 11k advantage for Talon. Dota Plus saying 19% chance Polaris can make a comeback, 81% chance Talon pull off this game victory. So they're not out of it yet, but Polaris, they are in dire straits. They need to find something. They need to find a way. There's the axe.
Yeah, it gets scary. I mean, Savage shouldn't be missing any more dooms. So the zombies are not gonna have that. Why does that happen? How can your click prioritize the zombie over here? That's just kind of strange. Still smoke out from Talon. They want to reveal this.
In defense of Gaben, it's not his job to let Savage doom the hero, right? It's Savage's job to click the right target. In we go, Savage. Smoke forward. Force is ready to break the smoke. They're under vision though. Talon, realizing this, will back off immediately. They don't want to fight within someone else's vision.
Ooh.
Hide. Force staff away. No hook. They'll get their own vision down now. In that radiant triangle. This game reminds me of like you're getting into a street fight, but nobody wants to chuck the first punch. You know? It's like, no, you throw the first punch. You throw the first punch. And neither side wants to do it.
Yeah, just two fellas, sizing up each other but never getting physical. That's it.
I mean,
And
they're staunching.
honestly, it feels like a few of the games in the series have just been like that, right? Like it's been very patient for both sides.
You mean every game of this series has been like that, John?
I was waiting for the breaking point for you, Mike. I'm glad to see it came out.
Eventually it will. Oh, goodness me. It really is though, like they're popping their chests out, flexing their muscles. Here we go. Roshan started. Natsumi hook is there, but Roshan's down. Doom is out. Savage, he will rush forward. Leilusha, big sonic wave, however. It lasts on 4. Is it gonna matter? Nobody dead yet. Everyone survives. So the sonic wave does buy time for Polaris to back out after seeing the Roshan was down. Talon still 17k net worth ahead. All 3 cores on their side are well and truly far beyond what Polaris have right now.
Yeah, they've managed to pull out, and I think that's a big difference from a few minutes back where, it's mainly just Savage, everyone else was equally farmed. You do have at least 2k lead on KP and Mikado each now. You still have one more Doom to go on Savage, did not manage to pop that refresh, so it still has additional usage on hand, and Polaris should be ready now for that AoE Doom. They know it's up there, they show their respect for it. They did pop a BKB on Natsumi, so probably just gonna play safe then. Force as well. I mean, he has the Ags up now on the Undying. But the issue is, if you do get doomed, you can't really steal the strength, so that kind of falls flat there as well. Still 9-9. After you point out they're just sizing, they go again. I mean, they stand up in front of each other, but no one dies. So it's just a bunch of posture in here, Mike.
There is the Timeless Relics available here, I believe, for Talon. If they wanted to give that to Savage, that feels kind of nice. 20% debuff duration seems good. Yes.
I'm curious though. I feel like that doesn't affect your self-doom duration, right?
Well,
Because
why not?
that's not technically a debuff on you. Because it's probably a buff on yourself.
Why
And
would
so
that
it
be?
will only affect... I think that's the way it's programmed. I'm actually not sure. If it's a debuff, then it would doom yourself, right? So it must be a buff. Because it's a positive on yourself. So I think if you want to get the longer duration doom, you actually have to doom an enemy to count it as a debuff. Because when it applies onto itself, the duration doesn't change because it's a buff on yourself. Right?
This is the
Debuff
one
duration
hero-
means it has to be used defensive.
This is the one. Hold that thought. Makoto's now trying to move in. Illusions, that's all he's caught. Makoto, he'll pop rolling thunder. Maybe Polaris trying to force a fight. My point is, that Doom's the one hero. Like, he's literally the devil, right? Like, if there was a masochist in the game, this is the guy, right? Like, if there's one hero that can debuff himself, you'd think it'd be Doom.
Yeah, but when you self-doom, you don't really doom yourself. You apply an... I think it works like it applies an aura on you that applies doom in an AoE. So it technically isn't a debuff, which means, again, technically... I mean, I would love to see if it does make a difference, but no one on Talon
pretty
even
sure
picks
you're
it up. Savage just sticks to the spell for some.
Under attack.
That makes more sense anyway. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're right, John. I'm just messing around with you. I'm just messing
Aye.
around.
It would
Talon-
be funny, though.
It would be.
No, You know what? We still need that. It's Doom time.
It's doom time.
He's got to do it. Why don't we have it? Alva,
Why do
please.
we have it? I don't know. I don't know. It's a
We
missed
need it.
opportunity, John. Maybe for the Doom Arcana eventually that comes out.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
It's you charge in, you've got the guitar and the taunt, and you doom yourself. It's Doom time, and you come in with the taunt. There you go.
Tier 3
That's the
tower,
Giga
John.
Chad play.
Tier 3 tower. On they go.
Ah.
You've got the familiars to
Familiars.
abuse here. This is the best part of this draft. Sidekick, familiars, throw them in, let them do the job. Alright, we've done enough damage. Off we go again. 9 to 9, 40 minutes in.
I can't believe we're actually only at 18 kills.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
that
starting to
is
feel
that
like-
is just surreal to me.
I'm starting to understand how the League of Legends casters feel, John. I'll tell you that.
Well, at least, you know, objectives are falling. They take Roshan and they kind of poke. Well, no one dies, but they take a tower. As they say, they take a turret. If you would want to
Oh,
really
don't
go
say
all
that.
in
Yuck.
on this one, Mikey.
Yuck, don't say that. I was joking.
Ugh,
Don't-
that felt
oh,
wrong.
I literally got
That
a
felt
shiver
wrong.
as you said that. Moving on. That joke never happened. Top lane. The familiars. Here we go again. These are the real MVPs for Talon. You
Oh,
may not
dude.
like it, but this is what peak Dota looks like. Yes, John.
Yeah, you've got the Silence the Graves. So when you pop out of the Invis, you got bonus damage, Fortify Forced Out. Just from the side of the familiars alone, Mikado, he's only got half a minute on that Aegis. This is really risky from him.
Absolutely. And there you go. Tier 3 tower's gone. Makoto, he'll keep going. Tombstone drop force, he's got to force something. I mean, you've got to fight eventually. Makoto! That'll be the Aegis. It's something. Let's see if they can find him a second time and they cannot land the hook. Familiar's still chipping away at that top racks. Rolling Thunder, Makoto, he's literally just going to zone them out. That's it. Zone them out, let the birds do the job.
Is under attack.
And they do.
Radiant's top barracks has fallen.
Oh, how do you stop this? Like, you can't even kill the siege creeps with Illuminate. It just falls.
Under attack.
The only shame thing is that Marcy sidekicks herself. Like, imagine you could just sidekick in an AoE on 2 heroes or 2 units. Then both familiars could get the sidekick. Now that would be peak Dota.
Oh, Mikey, you're getting me excited. Maybe that should be a shard instead. That'd be amazing. That'd be very balanced, Mike. I like the way you're thinking.
9 to 9,
God,
42
no.
minutes in, 23k net worth. Hex is up. At least Lelouch has got the Hex up. I mean, there's some farm going the way of Polaris. Talon are in complete control. Absolute complete control in this game 5.
They are. They've got enough gold here for Mikado to just buy out the Overwhelming Blink if you wanted to, or are close to it. So another big item timing out for the Pangolier. For Polaris, this, again, it just feels like the point where we might be hitting a dead end in itemization. The Ags here from Xavius might catch Talon off guard, though. So they do have some more AoE hold from Polaris' end.
Oh,
They've got to find the
Natsumi!
angle.
He got bashed up, but he has the BKB. In he goes, onto Savage, but the Self-Doom is there. Into the Shivers. The Pudge trying to run. Where are you going? Sonic Wave. He's going nowhere but down. The Pudge is out. He has buyback. He can try to commit, but there's 3 heroes down for Polaris. Both supports without buyback. It is getting very close to a call here, I think. It's Polaris, they have not found an answer to this draft. Makoto, he's in, he fills it. Onto Force. We'll back off. No need to risk it. There's your buyback. This will be the last ditch effort, Talon. Are they going to stick around? It's still a 5v3 situation. They're so close to being able to qualify to TI11. Onto the mid-racks they go. Lelouch desperately trying to chip away, but the familiars, they are the MVPs of this game. They are doing all the work. KP is doing nothing. He's just microing familiars.
Oh. They back off. They show some respect. 32k lead. 9 to 12 scoreline with a 32k lead. I have not seen this in all our years, Mikey. It's another one of those strange firsts to see a team just completely choke out the game and just not kill and just take complete control. Polaris, they have got to show the effects of this Will-O-Wisp. It has to fly out in these team fights. They've got to get control. They cannot afford to lose Natsumi early on. He's one of their only 2 ways of controlling through the BKB. They need that dismember. They need the grip from AU as well. Their positioning is going to have to really work out in the next few fights. Talon, and they don't have protection of Aegis. They're watching Roche. Mikoto keeping an eye. 20 seconds for the respawn. That should be our signal for the next piece of action here.
99% chance win probability for Talon right now. They've given 1% chance for Polaris. On the Radiant Triangle, Talon will hold, waiting for their next refresh on the Doom, I believe, for Savage. Not that he really needs it.
See
Roshan,
Roche.
it's up.
Free axe. Free refresh up. I mean, yeah, at this point, just give High the axe, I guess, or Mikado if you really wish. And, you know, just run it down. This should be the opening. This should take care of that range. Rax and the last set of racks down. But, secondary life onto Mikado. Everything else left. No, they give High the refresh to just carry you around. Now pass on to Savage, okay. Mikado gets the axe. Alright, so Giga Hind doesn't quite get it. But, again, another Ags, another Aegis, another opportunity to push. They are trying their best here to stall this out from Polaris. Lelouch just split pushing. But they'll still have an angle from the mid creeps to go through the back door. So, let's see what Talon opts for here. Still on the hunt. Oh. You know what I realized, Mike?
What is it, Joe?
I saw chat. Right, so someone was like F10K at 9 to 9.
the betting scene, yeah, they must be really having a fun time this game.
F10K, 40 minutes. Who would have thought?
Oh goodness me! Go on bot lane.
Have to take care of the creep waves. I mean, they've de-pushed here in Polaris very nicely. So they are stalling this game out very well. Talon, they have 2 cheeses. I didn't even notice this. Hyde's got a cheese. Q's got a cheese. They could combine that together, make a nice fondue.
Absolutely.
Start looking to the high ground. Mikado's just playing poke. I mean, for Polaris, again, this hinges on just a great initiation act. They've got to find a way, use the Will-O-Wisp when BKB's fade. That's their turning point for Polaris.
Alright, here we go. 42k advantage. Let's see if they can hold this. It's their last chance here, Polaris. They've got some buybacks. It's a rough affair. D-Ward is there. Talon, they're going to start moving in. Here come the familiars. Makoto gonna move in. Does get a bash, but the hook is out from Natsumi. KP almost losing familiars. He'll end up getting them healthy as now the jump is in. Doom is out. They've got Lelouch on the Queen of Pain. He has buyback though. He'll buy back immediately onto Force. They've got the Undying muted up. Force trying to back off. He has buyback. He'll buy back immediately. In we go again. The Will-O-Wisp is holding them down. But where's the follow-up? Where's the damage? Who's jumping in? Makoto. He'll be pulled back by Natsumi, but he has the roll-up. He'll be alright. Talon still sitting back. Moving back in. Savage. Self-Doom once again. Looking for some diebacks, but finds nothing. They'll try and deal with the tombstone, but they cannot. Talon, they might have to retreat. But in we go again. The familiars, Makoto, he'll get to work onto the tier 3 tower. They want Megas. They want the happy death. Onto the Undying. Sonic Wave is out. Makoto, he'll drop low, but he still has that secondary life. He should be alright. They've got the melee barracks. They're onto the range. It's Mega Creeps incoming. Refresh on Savage, he's got another Doom. In we go, Makoto. Tries, there's the Doom out, Savage moves in. Aeon Disc will be proc, so the Hex does nothing. Polaris, they are holding on.
Yeah. Man, it's Mega Creeps up, but they have the wave clearing. They've got great AoE with Natsume. They're going in.
He's gonna jump in, but the Hex is immediate. The Pudge is caught out. There's no buyback on Natsumi. He'll go for a Dismember Savage. He's just going to go for the man fight. Have Talon done it? They've taken down the Pos 1 Pudge. They're onto the Quap. That'll be a dieback. I think Talon are making their way to Singapore here, John, as they've got everything they can ask for in this Game 5. GG is called. Congratulations to Talon Esports. So after 5 long, grueling games, they have made it all the way to the TI11 in Singapore. And look at those happy faces. They've done it.
Oh,
Hugs out,
my.
smiles, cheering. Oh, it must have been scary, John. It's been a scary grand finals for both sides. But you've got to feel bad for Polaris, John. They were so close to having the underdog Dark Horse story. Oh, boy. I mean, what do you say? The pride of Visayas region from the Philippines, John. I mean, they put on a hell of a performance. I mean, you can't be unhappy with Polaris. They put on a hell of a performance. I know they're upset. I know they've got a flight to catch tomorrow morning. They're probably not happy. They've got to go last chance qualifiers. What can you do? What can you do? They lost to the better team today. They dragged it out to 5 games. You couldn't ask much more.
Yeah, they managed to hold on. And again, for both teams, it's a great story because Talon was a Div 2 team, Polaris was a Div 2 team, and both of them are, in some form, going to TI. Talon in this game, just playing so patiently, 9-18 game, but it doesn't matter. Talon just farm up, they get this passive game that they enjoy more, and they deny Polaris the ability to even look for the aggression here. A perfect game coming out from Mikado, just managing to do everything he wants, itemizes perfectly in this game as well, just to ensure that he is safe. And Talon, after a long journey, make it through. For Polaris, I mean, look, last chance qualifiers are tough, but they've shown us today that they're a team that can adapt really well, that they've got these great drafting ideas on hand, and we can take a look at that bracket overall. Talon break the winner's bracket curse. It does go 5 games, but they do go through. And Polaris, they got knocked down by Talon, forced a rematch and take it all the way. They play an amazing set of Dota here out from Cebu City, and these guys, I think they're going to do well in the last chance. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Lots of good teams, but in Polaris are definitely still going to be one of the more favorable teams that a lot of people will overlook in those last chance qualifiers.
I mean, I'm going to be quite frank and honest here, John. I think Polaris has got a better chance in last chance than T1 does, quite frankly. Like, their performance throughout these lower bracket runs have been fantastic. Honestly, though, this is not a joke. They have been putting on a real performance here, and I don't know, Polaris, yeah, it's going to be heartbreaking. It's not going to be a good night for them. They're probably going to be losing some sleep over that last game 5, but they still have a chance in last chance qualifiers. They've got to reset, go into that, hope for the best. You know, it's not easy. It's certainly not easy, and it's not going to be easy for T1 either. But both these teams that are in that last chance, they do have a shot. Still, Talon, they're the winners today, John. This is the team we're talking about now. They 3-2 Polaris in the grand finals. It was a rough one. It was very back and forth. I'm looking forward to having an interview to see exactly what was going on in the mindsets of Talon. Because having games that were dominant over and over again, like one team was dominant one game, Talon was dominant the other. Polaris dominant, Talon dominant. It was never like an even affair between these two teams. I really am curious to see what factor they believe made it so that Polaris just dominated them in that game 2 and game 3. Because the games that Polaris won, they made it look so easy. But then the games Talon won, they made it look so easy. So I want to know what the factor is that they believe made that happen.
Yeah, I'm really curious as well. It felt like a lot came down to draft. Because we saw Polaris were very consistent in just banning out the Mikado and Savage heroes in the first phase, and then continuing that into the second phase depending on what is revealed from the first. So they really did the research in the last time they played against each other there on Polaris's end. And Talon, I feel like they just couldn't adjust as well as easily to Polaris, because Polaris pulled out some new ideas. I mean, the Undying and Keeper of the Light was just... Yeah, that's one combo you never want to lane against. It feels even worse than the Bristleback, honestly. Undying actually feels worse than that, although it didn't quite work out this time around for Polaris. So, yeah, the uniqueness of Polaris's drafting, I think, is one big thing they're going to have to really just push even further in last chance qualifiers. And for Talon, I mean, they had some really interesting drafts too. We've seen this shift out for KP. I think that's the big one for Talon these qualifiers, because his hero pool has expanded. As you mentioned, he hasn't been leaning into the Brewmaster at all with the Ags change. He's been going for stuff like the Marcy. He's been going for more of the Visage. He's been gunning for even the odd Undying and Primal Beast offlane as well. So there's more variety coming out from that offlane. And I think for a player like KP, that's really important. He's the most veteran member of that team. He's been around for a long time. He needs to be able to kind of adjust his playstyle even further to push his team further as the most experienced sort of, I guess, almost like an in-game leader. Although the shot calling and Talon, I believe, is shared. But yeah, we'll see if that continues to develop as well. Because they did manage to take that win over Polaris, who is a strong team, but you can't argue 5 games is certainly not what you'd expect. I believe when Boom Esports went 5 games up against Polaris, it was also not something they expected.
Yeah. All right, well, we do have an interview ready with the one and only KP. Mr. KP, I'm going to ask you the generic question. You must be feeling very, very good at the moment, sir, but how are you feeling after that 5-game grand final?
Oh, I haven't had this feeling for a very, very, very long time. That's all I can say. I don't know.
What's
Just
the...
especially since it was like 3-2, it's like even more like I don't know. I just haven't had this feeling for a long time. Can't explain it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Talk to me about why the games were so dominant then, because each game felt like it was one team just destroying the other. Like when you guys were winning, you guys were destroying Polaris, and when Polaris were winning, they were destroying you guys. What was the factor that decided those games? Well, what happened to make it so dominant?
To be honest, I think well, as you guys saw, I think like Mac plays a really good Lina, and he won both games on the Lina. So like second, third game, we kind of didn't respect it. We wanted to beat it, but then at the end of the day, we showed some respect and we just banned it. And I think that was really crucial to our losses. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I feel like this meta is very like it's very reliant on draft. Like I think draft determines a lot of things, like probably more than 50% of the game. So I think that's the major contributor.
Were you expecting Polaris to make it through to the grand final, or do you think you guys were prepping more for T1 going into this grand final? Because I feel like Polaris were the underdogs going into that lower bracket, but then they made it through all the way to the grand final and then forced to a game 5. Was it because you guys weren't expecting that to happen? Were you expecting T1?
I mean, like I don't know, like from a professional player perspective, like I think sure Anna and Thompson they're like these big names and on paper and everything, like maybe T1's the favorites, but based on like watching games and like based on our series against T1 and Polaris, I personally, I don't know about my team, I felt that Polaris was indeed like a little bit stronger. So, I mean, there's always these like a lot of small details that not everyone knows about, and as a viewer, I'd just be like, oh my god, it's Anna Thompson, they're gonna go TI or something, which it's understandable. I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but yeah, that's what I think.
Right. Now, I'm curious. The past few months have been a bit tough for you guys, KP, in terms of the land results, as yeah, I'm sure you're very aware. What do you think led to this really strong improvement coming out from Talon? Because you guys came back into Southeast Asia and you just look amazing in these qualifiers. What helped you guys improve the most from that experience on the lands?
I mean, honestly, I felt like we got very unlucky. I mean, not an excuse, but I'm just saying like Q couldn't make the major, and then at Hatyai, the tiebreaker rule was about like the time and stuff like that. But I think the biggest thing for our team, especially since we have like so many young and inexperienced players, I think the biggest thing was to uh, kind of just play tournaments like the way we would play at home. Like try and not let this the setting, the nerves or whatever. Just play like at home. Like we're playing a scrim. Yeah, I think that's like the main takeaway from the 3 lands.
All right. And what do you think? What do you feel like you yourselves, maybe you individually as a player, or you guys as a team, have to kind of work on going into TI? I mean, you guys are going into the biggest tournament of the year now. From your journey from Div 2 into now, like it's been a long road for Talon. What more? What do you think's the priority to kind of tune up here?
Oh, I don't know. A lot of things. Like if we were to go back and watch our games, I'm sure our coach would like just flame us like everywhere. So there's a lot of things to improve on, and I mean we still have time. Um, Mainly consistency, I would say. Uh, yeah, just consistency. Because back then we were like lacking discipline and stuff, but nowadays I think we're kind of disciplined. We're like not doing stupid stuff, and yeah, consistency is our focus, I would say.
All right. I'm curious about one thing as well. Me and Mike were talking about this in game that You know, for a long time, it felt like Talon. A lot of teams would just ban out your heroes in the first phase. It kind of changed here, but we've been seeing stuff like the Brewmaster slide through, and I know a lot of people have said about the Ags that it's not the same. How do you feel about that? Is that why you're avoiding the Brewmaster now?
Yeah, it's shit. Simply put, it's kind of
Just
bad.
shit.
I mean, I think the hero is still viable, but maybe like near the end, like of the draft. Yeah, but the Ags is pretty big in my opinion.
Right, and kind of steering back to TI a bit here. You joined the ranks of all these top teams, the top teams in the world now, going to the biggest tournament in the world in Singapore. Is there any opponent that you feel like you have to watch out for specifically? Is there any region you're more scared of? Do you just kind of see it as an equal playing field, or do you think it skews towards one way here?
I mean, uh, I don't think like. I mean, if you were to ask me who we're like scared of, I don't think we're scared of anyone. Like, I mean, maybe a better question is who am I excited to play against? I think I can answer that one. I really want to see T1, like no flames, but I really want to see T1 at TI, because you know what's a TI without Anna and Thompson, right? So yeah,
True.
I hope T1 can make it through the last chance.
Well, KP, we don't want to keep you too much longer. I can see you guys. You're looking a little bit emotional. Usually very stoic, KP, but it looks like you're very overwhelmed with happiness right now going to TI11. I have one more question to ask you. Actually, it's a two-part, but do you have any words for all the fans out there that have been supporting you guys throughout this whole year? And do you have any words to the haters, especially KP? Because there's been a few of those guys too. What do you got to say to them?
I mean, I just want to thank everyone for supporting us. As cheesy as it sounds, without you guys, there wouldn't be us. You know, like just everyone involved in Dota esports in general, like you guys, tournament organizers, Valve, TI, fans, players, like everything, everyone. I just, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for supporting us, supporting the industry, and you know, together we can, you know, grow this community. Yeah. And to the haters, I don't want to be mean, but I love you too, haters. I love you too.
Oh, he's too good. He's too wholesome, this guy. He's too wholesome, this guy. You know what? I'm debating you, KP. There was one more question. I think I've completely forgotten how. I've remembered. How are you guys celebrating? You've made it to TI11. What's the celebration tonight? What are you guys doing?
I mean, 23 Savage is probably gonna play some pubs.
Oh, come on, Savage. What are you doing?
I mean, it's 9 p.m. already. Can't do anything. Maybe I don't know. Book my flight. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing.
All right, well, KP, congratulations to you and the boys. We're so happy, so proud to see you guys going to TI11. And man, I hope you guys go on a run, quite frankly. Bias fully here. We want you guys to go on a run.
Let's
Thank you.
go. Let's
Thank
go,
you.
KP. Come on.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, KP. That's a lovely KP, obviously. You know him very personally, John. He's an Aussie. I know him personally. I had the experience back in the day, all the way back in the day of Dota All-Stars, getting destroyed by KP at a LAN once. He actually ended up choosing his Brood and Nagasaren against me, and I learned the hard way not to play against pro players and trash talk them. Still, that is it for the SCA TI11 qualifiers. Congratulations again to Talon.